Hey everyone, my name is Sophie from Sophisticated Organization. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. Today's video is going to be my first official organizing video in our brand new house that we just moved into a little less than a week ago. So we are going to tackle my pantry. When we took everything out of our moving boxes, moving day, I threw everything in the pantry with no order whatsoever. So I'm gonna show you how everything looks first, and then we will organize together and I will show you the final after. So if you're ready for it, let's jump right into the video.
They keep on telling lies. That is how we stay alive. So you know that I don't mind about what is wrong.
The first thing that I'm doing here is pulling everything out of the pantry, at least as much as possible. And I'm starting with all of my OXO pantry containers. That's what I use to decant all of my dried goods. So I'm gonna get those out first and focus on refilling those, because I think it's gonna be a lot easier for me to do one category of things at a time. So with these OXO containers, I know I'm gonna do something similar to what I did in my last pantry, keep them all together in one area. So by refilling them, then I can focus on where those go and fill in the other gaps around them. In my last pantry organization video, I was in my previous apartment and shared putting that whole thing together, getting all of these OXO containers labeled. So I'll link that in the cards above if you are interested in that pantry organization video as well. That was a just straight across pantry. It still was a pantry that had a door to it, but very different layout from this one. So if your pantry doesn't look like this one and have a little angle and you want to see just a straight shelf, that's another great example of how you can organize your pantry as well. But what I did here was ordered a bunch of groceries and just picked them up for some of my main staples. I tried to use up all of my food, or as much of it as I could, before we moved, so I didn't have to move with a bunch of food and worry about things spilling and stuff. So a lot of these actually are empty containers. So it was a big grocery bill trying to get our pantry stock and our refrigerator stock and freezer back up, and I'm still honestly working on it, but this was definitely a good start. The only downside I really found to trying to use up all my food and washing these containers really well before I moved was the fact that I just threw in our moving boxes, the tops and bottoms kind of separately, and put them in one box saying pantry or whatever it was. But I didn't think about the fact of how I had both the new version and the old version of the OXO containers, but the new tops don't fit on the old bottoms and the old tops don't fit on the new bottoms. So it was a little bit tricky. I'm also going to fill up my brown sugar container here and make sure to soak my favorite brown sugar bear. This thing, if you soak it in some water, keeps your brown sugar super fresh. And even if your brown sugar has gone rock solid, if you soak one of these bears in some water, then pop it in your container with your brown sugar, it'll bring it back to life and it's almost like it's brand new. It's pretty crazy. So if you're not using one of these, you definitely should give it a try.
Sky's the limit. I used to be satisfied, stayed over the surface. Now I just can't get enough. You make me feel good like no other. I just want everyone to see what I've discovered. And when I'm with you, I go higher. You lift me up, now I can see
So while I was working on getting the pantry all cleaned up and put together, Jim and I have kind of been dividing and conquering how we're getting our house set up. So he was heading out to go run some errands. I think he was going to Home Depot. So we gave each other a quick kiss goodbye. He knows that I'm in my happy place, decanting things and organizing and filming and all the things that make me really happy. So he left me to do my thing and was going to go run errands and help us get the rest of our house in order. And you can tell I'm definitely still struggling to figure out which lids go on which tops, but I'm making a list of the rest of the items that I still need to get from the grocery store. So looking at each of these pantry containers as I try and match the lids and figuring out what I still need to purchase so I can add that to my grocery list and continue to refill all of the pantry containers that I have.
Knowing there is more in life that I want. Now I wanna embrace life. You and I side by side. Knowing there is more in life that I want. You make me feel good like no other. I just want everyone to see what I've discovered. And when I'm with you, I go higher. You lift me up, now I can see so much farther. Beyond the horizon.
Now that all of those are pretty much in order, I'm going to continue to pull things out of my pantry to make space to figure out where I want those containers to go and just kind of starting to lay things out in a general direction. I have a sense for where I want things. I'm thinking I want to do some Lazy Susans in the corners of each shelf, or at least pretty much each shelf, because that is a great way to take advantage of a deep corner. The Lazy Susan obviously turns around and rotates so you can access things that might otherwise be lost in a corner.
To let your mind of things. Though it hurts, I can't see it in your eyes, babe. But I know you have a lot to give.
I'm hoping I can get these containers on 2 or maybe 3 shelves. So the higher up one I want to use for baking. So I'm starting to put the things that I consider more so baking items on the higher shelf because I don't use them quite as often. And then the next shelf down, I'll try and use for more daily items. And I am planning on doing a 2-tiered system. First of all, the shelves are deep enough that I can do that. But second of all, it does take up a ton of space if you just do one layer. If you have a huge pantry and you don't cook a lot or you don't have a lot of food, go for it. But for me, I have a ton of food. This is still a pretty big pantry, but I really don't mind having the 2 layers. And I used it in my last pantry. Worked out great for me. So I am going to do 2 layers on that second shelf with everyday items. But you will see, even though I'm doing 2 layers, they vary in height, so I can still easily see what's behind the first layer and just simply slide something out of the way and get to what's in the back.
Be your guiding light. I'm your lighthouse, I'm the sun against your dark clouds. I will always be your guiding light. Oh.
And again, you'll see how I first lay out the organizing product or get a sense for the general layout that I want, and then start to load the items into or onto the organizing products and items. So these plastic containers are drawers that I did use in my last pantry on the floor for Backstock items, and I packed into them when we moved all of my spices and a couple other items and food related things that I didn't want to spill. But I'm hoping to get them out of my pantry. I have had them since my freshman year of college, and I'm hoping to just kind of elevate the look of my pantry a little bit. Again, I'm just starting with products that I own, so I'm not going to go out and purchase anything new, but hoping with a larger pantry I can get rid of these and put them in the basement and use them in our storage room for another purpose. So I'm just going to unload all of those spices, try and put the spices in an order that makes sense to me or an order that looks good back onto that spice rack. Now, last time I did it in kind of rainbow order, and I liked the look of it. It worked for me. I'm the one who cooks. I know where everything is, but I know a lot of people do alphabetical order, so let me know what you would do. I'm, at least for now, trying to do rainbow order again, and I think that works really well for me. But are you more of a color and visual person or somebody who would prefer alphabetical?
I'm looking up from my window. Sun's coming up like the day before.
And if you are looking at my pantry and looking at the labels on my OXO containers, my spice jars, or my oil and vinegar bottles, I actually sell those labels on my website, which I will make sure to link in the description box if you are ever interested. I'm more than happy to make you a custom set of labels for your pantry. If you don't see what you want, feel free to send me a message either through my website or on my email address, which is also linked in the description box below. If you have specific size requirements for the size of spice jars or pantry containers or oil and vinegar bottles that you have, I always want to make sure it's going to be something that works out for you. So just send me a message and I'm happy to help you out.
We can spend all day in bed. I get the wine and the corkscrew. You don't have to do one single thing. You don't know how much I want you. Just looking at you makes my whole world spin. You don't have to wake up yet.
I'm creating a little bit of a backstock bin here. I think I'm going to do those up high and just keep a small little step ladder in the corner of the pantry. I don't love the look of having open baskets on the bottom floor, at least these low profile open baskets. So I'm going to try and put them up and kind of hide the mess and keep more of my appliances and things like that towards the bottom. So it's a little more visually appealing. We'll see how that works out, if I'm able to get things up and down pretty easily or if that ends up being a pain. And that's kind of the mentality that I'm going into this organization. First of all, in my pantry, but throughout the rest of the new house. You can't expect things to be perfect the first time you organize it. You'll see, even as I'm going through and organizing the pantry here, I think I put something in a spot that I want it, and then I end up rearranging it. But you have to be realistic that sometimes things look good as you're organizing it, or you think it's going to be really functional, but then in practice, when you actually go live your life with the way you've set things up, it doesn't quite work exactly the way you thought it was going to. So I'm completely open to the possibility of this not being 100% the way that it's going to stay, but it's going to be my best effort for now, and then I can always redo it or change things around in the future. So that's part of the reason I didn't want to buy a whole bunch of organizing products right off the bat in a new space, because I want to figure out what works, and then I can go and spend money if I so choose.
Like you, to stand by me always, and I dream of a man like you, warm and tender every single day. What if we would join our forces? What a bliss. You make me understand this place.
So down on the floor here, I'm using my old bathroom containers actually that I had Backstock products in for some of my baking items. Now, I love being able to reuse different organizing tools throughout the house. I don't think you should be limited to just having one item in one room, and then if it stops working in that room, it means you can't use the product anymore. I like trying to switch things around, use them in different areas. So it was perfect that I did some decluttering in my bathroom and had more of these little plastic bins and had a ton of baking items so I could use them for my baking items instead.
What if we would join our forces? What a bliss. You make me
In my last kitchen, I had more space for large, bulky appliances in the cabinets in the main kitchen area. I actually don't have that much room in this kitchen for that, but because this pantry is so big, it works out great that I can put my large appliances on the floor of the pantry, and I can even store some of the accessories that go with them. So things like the Vitamix parts for my blender and my Instant Pot parts and accessories that come with it, I can put those in a little bin. Even my toaster, I think I'm gonna try and keep it in here. It's a little bit big for the shelf. It sticks off just a tiny bit, but there's an outlet in here, so I can leave the toaster in the pantry and actually not worry about leaving it on the counter and taking up the countertop space.
In a whole different way, you make me wanna live this life to the fullest, to the fullest. You make me understand this place in a whole different way. You make me wanna live this life to the fullest.
Now that I have a general sense of what's going to go into these baskets and bins, I quickly printed off a few labels that I'm going to put on bin clips to go on the bins and make sure I know what goes in there, especially super high up. I found that even though I printed these labels and put them onto the bin clips, when I went to go put the bin clips on the bins in the pantry, I already forgot what I had put way up high. It had been, I don't know, maybe 15 minutes, but completely already forgot. So some people might think that it's a little bit unnecessary to label everything or not aesthetically pleasing to them. I like the look of labels, but also I think it's really functional, not only because I forget what goes where, but also because it's much easier if you have friends that come over and might be helping you cook, or other family members that can be helpful in the kitchen if they want to know where something goes and they want to help you out, or if they say they don't know where to put something away, you can say, yes, you do. It is labeled. So there's a lot of benefits to labeling, but I just thought it was funny that I even forgot what I had just done only moments ago.
So slow, hold you in my arms, won't let go. The world around could pass us by, a thunderstorm, a lightning strike, as we hold each other tight. You're the rose in a garden, and it shows if I'm honest. You're the leaves in mid-August, and I've come out here.
This is a little behind the scenes process of me making the labels, but if you do choose to ever order from my website, you can see how easy it really is. You just need like a credit card or something else that you can push the label onto your flat surface and make sure it adheres, and then you peel off that clear plastic part called the transfer tape, and then all you're left with is the lettering. There's no clear tape left on there. It's just the letters, which I think leaves a really sleek, pretty look.
You're the rose in a garden, and it shows if I'm honest.
So even as I was putting on the bin clips, I realized it was weird that I was going to put one bin on the floor and then one bin a level up. So I moved the Instant Pot up and then decided to put both of the bins next to each other on the floor. That's a really great tip when you're trying to look for a way to make any organized space look more cohesive, putting like items together. You saw I put all of my pantry containers in one spot together. I put all of my spices in one spot together. On the top, I had all of those uniform bins, all looking nice and neat together. So try and keep like things together, and that in itself will make a huge difference, even if you don't have all of the fancy organizing products.
Imagine a world where we all belong, where no one's left out,
also made a couple of labels that I just put directly onto the little clear containers for my baking accessories and used a shelf riser to help organize those better. So I created one category for cupcake liners, another category for decorations, one for frosting, which are all the tools I use for my frosting of cakes and cupcakes, and then the last one is for cookie cutters.
Dresses for our weather. No need to seek shelter. Everyone's free, and the best they can be. Tall pressing songs.
So with that, I will show you the final after of my pantry, how it looks so far. Again, things may change in the future, but pretty proud of what it looks like with just the products I already owned.
Happy days be our guest. Happy days manifest. Let's stand together. Put a smile on our faces. Fill us up with your grace and make us better. Dress us for our weather. Abby's, I wonder who we'd be. Addie's, in the great mystery. Happy days be our guest. Happy days.
I think we're at a good stopping point. I love the way that it looks, especially the fact that I was able to use the products that I already own, and it just makes more sense to use those products, see how things work for me, and then if I want to go out and buy new things or upgrade anything, I can always do that in the future. So if you liked today's video, I would appreciate if you gave it a thumbs up. There's going to be a ton more organizing content throughout the rest of the house, so it's a good time to make sure you're subscribed, you hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I post a new video, and until next time, I will see you guys later.